Alright, so we've finished up talking about distance, displacement, and position. The next vocabulary words that we're going to cover. See, it's interesting. I think of three things that we've covered: distance, displacement, and position. Well, we've actually covered 5 vocabulary words: distance, displacement, position, scalar, and vector. Remember, a scalar is something with magnitude. A vector is something with magnitude and direction. Okay. Next word we're going to cover, we're going to talk about motion. And the 2 vocabulary words that we need to cover, and we'll actually cover a little more than 2, is speed. Everybody's familiar with the idea of speed. Okay? Speed is how fast you're traveling. If I were to look down at my speedometer, I'm looking at how fast I'm moving at that given second. In physics, there's a specific mathematical definition for speed. When we talk about the speed of an object, we're talking about how much distance that object has covered, divided by the time it takes to travel that distance. I want to step on that. That's my USB cord. So that's the definition of speed. Distance divided by time. How much distance I've covered divided by the time it takes for me to travel that distance. That's the definition of speed. Okay? Now, is it a vector or scalar? What are the units? Well, remember one thing. When I talked about distance, I've said, the units of distance, displacement, and position is a meter. Okay? When we talk about units of time, we're talking about looking at your watch. The standard unit, I'm going to write meter a little bit bigger. The standard unit of time that we're going to be using is a second. Okay? So when we talk about the speed of an object, we're going to be typically talking about meters per second. Okay? That's the definition of speed. Distance divided by time is going to be expressed in meters per second. Now the last question, whether it's a vector or a scalar, I'll leave that up in the air. When I talk about the next term, we'll talk about what's a vector and what's a scalar in this case.